You've done some investigating of visual social protest art, so now we're going to broaden our field a little bit and consider audio and verbal social protest art. Specifically, we're going to be reading an article called Second Take: Hip Hop Artists Take on Activist Roles in BLM Movement Through Musical Commentary Protest. This article is going to help you identify an example of social protest art in music, and just like you did with visual art, you'll examine the effects of its stylistic choices, in this case figurative language, on the audience. So the big question is hip hop social protest art? Well, the short answer is yes and no. Some of it definitely is, some of it definitely isn't, just like other genres. But lots of hip hop could easily be considered social protest art in the way it is pushing back at societal norms, revealing issues in society, and trying to challenge the expected way that things work. Oops. So remember our definition of social protest art. It is art that addresses and challenges cultural power structures. Well, certainly there are many examples of hip hop songs that do that. For example, in the late 80s, the rap group NWA came out with a song, F the Police, censored for our school video here, which is very explicitly talking about police brutality and anti blackness in the police force. This is not just a song meant to entertain, it is a song meant to change the way we think and push for broader societal change. The article that we will be reading was written in June 29th, 2020, fairly recently, and it's by the author E.J. Penaligan, who says that rap has always had this element of social protest. He's going to use a number of examples to try to give us that point that rap as a genre, hip hop as a genre as well, is trying to push for societal change, regardless of the individual song and the individual message. So we already know that social protest art uses stylistic choices to address and challenge cultural power struggles. You saw many examples of this in the article on visual art, and we saw that in paintings and photographs, these stylistic choices are visual. Things like color, texture, facial expression, shadow, etc. When we're looking at plays and songs, the stylistic choices are words and audio effects. Words that are used in figurative language are particularly powerful. We talked about figurative language back in Unit 0 with Amanda Gorman's poem, but as a quick refresher, figurative language is anything that means more than just the literal, straightforward, factually true meaning. Some specific types of figurative language are simile, metaphor, and irony. So we're going to take a look at those three and how they show up in hip hop. One example from Tupac: "So we live like caged beasts, waiting for the day to let the rage free. Still me till they kill me." Simile is used in that first line, "We live like caged beasts." He's comparing his own life, the life of African Americans, to that of an animal in a zoo, held back, restrained, but one day going to get their point across. So metaphor is very similar to simile. It is making a comparison between two unlike things, but without using the words like or as. In this example on the left, American society is compared to a shelter, a place that is supposed to protect you, but actually can easily become a source of danger and restriction. And the people in the shelter are compared to stars. They are supposed to be brilliant, able to accomplish things, but the police and other forces are holding them back. The example on the right shows irony. Irony is when what happens is the opposite of what you expect, or the words mean the opposite of what they say. So in this song Neighbors by J. Cole, he describes being a celebrity. He's got a house on a lake, plaques hanging up on the wall, the president loves to listen to his music, but he feels vulnerable. He feels like he could meet the same fate as Trayvon Martin. So it is ironic that even someone like J. Cole, who's achieved such fame and prosperity, is actually at risk of violence just because of who he is. So, as you're reading through the article included in your packet, you're going to look for examples of figurative language and answer questions about the effect it has. So, remember, simile is a comparison between two unlike things that uses the word like or as. We live like caged beasts. Metaphor is also a comparison, but it drops the like or as. We are caged beast would be a metaphor. And irony is when the opposite of what is expected happens or is pointed out. When you look at the article, your questions will be determining how it's a social protest song, identifying a simile and what it does, and summarizing the point of rap according to the author of the article. You'll also be looking at an example of irony. Hip hop songs are often social protest songs, and they're not the only ones. Other genres, such as punk rock and folk music, often function as social protest as well. So, as you look through the article, keep in mind how these musical works can share something with the visual works you were looking at earlier in the lesson. Social protest art is all around us. Movies, graffiti and murals, posters, billboards, signs, things that you see in your daily life every day. So, as you're jamming out to your favorite songs on the way home or on the bus to school, think about what are some examples of social protest art in your earbuds?